Hello there. How are you? I'm Michelle Gardner-Ince, aka GI. We're so glad that you joined us. We are a little late today, but we're so glad that you joined us. I'm the host of the GI Factor and the Demystifying Government Contracting Community. And all week long, this is day 7, we have been going live for 2 hours sharing insights, sharing information all about empowering small business success. And you might say, why are we doing this? Well, we're doing this because there's no shortage of information out there. If you Google federal contracting, government contracting, small business, you will come up with millions of results. But the issue is more about context of that information. And the Executive Order 13985 by President Biden, which is Section 5 and 7, which are all about increasing the vendor base for small businesses. Um, it is all about um, ensuring that we remove barriers and biases for small businesses, specifically underserved businesses. That's women, veterans, minorities, disabled, and LGBTQ. It's all about helping them come into the federal contracting space for the very first time. And so when I had the opportunity to test the LinkedIn audio session or audio feature for LinkedIn, I said, I'm going to use this platform to increase the understanding and build community around small business, specifically women, veteran, minority small business. So every week at 6, not 6 Central, but 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I am joined by some amazing human beings who are all um, um, business owners in their own right, but they come and share their knowledge freely, also that small business owners can have a safe place to ask questions. If you haven't joined us, I encourage you to join us at 7 p.m., 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m., 4 p.m. On Pacific time. So listen, I do want to say why is GI so passionate about this? Well, first of all, I'll save you the long spiel because we're starting a little bit late. But I have run a $1 billion profit loss portfolio, had 8,000 people work for me, 87 locations, 5 countries, 2 states. And when I got out of the military, I said, this business thing is going to be just easy for me. Well, I was in business as a subcontractor to several government contracting businesses. And I would tell you that I failed. I failed not because I didn't know how to get things done. I failed because, one, I didn't understand the AOR, the area of responsibility and the area of revenue when we're talking about government contracting. I didn't understand the language. I didn't understand the market. I didn't understand how to translate my capabilities into something that the government would understand. And I definitely was, I would say, not aware of what my market value was, even as a sub, being the solopreneur or a 1099. So that really bothered me. That if I, with all this experience, I had a hard time being successful, then I know others are too. And so, shortly after I finished my last contract, I came to the Department of Veteran Affairs as the director for the Center for Verification Evaluation. That is now Vet Cert at SBA. And so I'm really, really, passionate about small business success, have been working at the VA for 12 years. And I will tell you that for me, this is mission, this is ministry, and it's all about empowering success. So, with that said, I do want to do a disclaimer and tell you that I am, while I work for the Department of Veteran Affairs, everything that is said here is my opinion. or the opinion of my guest. And we always say trust but verify. We want you to consult with, small business advisors, uh, lawyers, bankers, accountants. All this information that you're getting today and from anybody needs to be executed and applied to your company specifically based on your revenue model, based on your business model, based on the market you're seeking to sell your products or services. One, thank you for joining. Share this with somebody if you haven't done that already. If you missed day 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we have been broadcasting every day. This is the 7th day. You're in for a tremendous treat. But let me just say, you can go to my profile, go back to on my LinkedIn profile. Hello, Facebook. I'm so sorry, not meaning to leave you all out. Hello, YouTube, and hello, Twitter. But if you missed the days, you can go to my LinkedIn profile or on my Facebook profile and hit replay, and it will show again. So with that, no more further ado, let me just say we have a tremendous evening tonight. We've got 2 guests. Did I say 2? Yes, 2 amazing leaders in their own right, both Air Force. So, this is going to be an Air Force thing. Y'all know how we roll. And I don't want to hear none of those jokes about Chair Force and, all that other stuff, because these 2 individuals are doing some amazing things. First, we're going to have Anthony Peters, the CEO of Novo Communications. And then we're going to have Lori Smith, CEO of Lori, Intelligence. I know Accuelegance. I never say it right. Both of these folks got some tough names. They're really trying to get, make me stress today. But these 2 individuals, we're going to be talking about leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. We're going to be talking about that from the standpoint of team leadership, of the CEO leading his team with Anthony. And then we're going to be talking about community leadership when it comes to talking with Lori. She's got a passion to build community of CEOs and businesses where we can do business not only together, but with each other. And so I'm so excited. Please charge it to my head, not my heart, that I slaughtered your business name. I'll do better. I just know these are 2 amazing CEOs, Anthony Peters and Lori Smith. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, LinkedIn. Hey, Vidro. Hey, Brandon. I know there's some folks out there. Thanks for joining. Please send this to some other folks. And with that, let me bring up Anthony. Anthony Peters, Novo Communications. It's a robotics security company. He is an Air Force veteran. He is also a sports guy. He has been excellent in sports. And I was just thinking about this as he was telling me about all the things he did when he was in the Air Force. The ability to be able to do all of those things in an excellent manner says a whole lot about him. We know sports and coaching is all about leadership. He has a tremendous background in the corporate world. He has an electrical engineering and MBA degree, as well as a host of other leadership experience. He's obsessed, he says, with leadership and culture building. 24 years leading organizations with profit loss as large as 400 million. He's led operations in 3 continents, so he's a global leader. And he started Novo to increase representation in STEM, especially for underserved communities. And he's seen a triple-digit growth in just 3 years in his business. So with that, I'm going to welcome him and let him tell us a little bit more about his business. Anthony, thank you so much. How you doing?
Hello, hello, hello. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm gonna tell you, it has been an amazing week, and I'm so glad that you decided to, join us on this platform.
Mhm.
First of all, I was very impressed with your not only passion for business, but the passion you have for the culture, setting the culture and leading your business. And that's probably in direct relation to your success. So tell us about your company and tell us about, kind of how you first, let me just start out. Tell us about your company and what you do, and then we'll back into who you are as a CEO.
Yeah, not a problem. So, Novo Communications is an electronic and physical security company. What our tagline really is that we're protecting our clients in their vertical chains by the use of technology. And all that means is we are using those things like your key fobs and the access control and video surveillance, as well as even some of the higher end technologies like drones and robots that you're now starting to read and hear about. But we're protecting the world by the use of technology. And I tell you, I'm just super excited about what we're gonna do tonight. I mean, I'm kind of bookend in between two great ladies, with Lori ending us up, and then with you being here all week. So I definitely thank you for the opportunity.
No, thank you. Thank you. I I'm so glad that you agreed to talk about a topic that I absolutely love, which is leadership. You've experienced that throughout your 20 plus years. Tell us, how did the military and what you learned there, as well as sports and business, all kind of create your passion for this? And then we'll talk about go from there about more about your philosophy on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start even further than that. So I came up with a father that had a meritorious career, and for those of us that are ex-military, we understand what meritorious is. It's our big word for he had an award-winning, a very positive career. He retired from the army. His father, my grandfather, was in the Navy, military, and as well as my siblings are still in the military. So
Wow.
I came up around this legacy of this is what we do.
It's
Uh, um,
service.
exactly. So we give service. But we were taught as young kids you can't talk about the U.S. unless you're willing to lay your life down for it. So and that's
That's
what we did.
good.
So I got a chance to get recruited to the Air Force. I was an electrical engineer, but I worked on the B-2. So that's the B-2 bomber, the one that, if you kind of see the picture behind me, that little triangle bird that's behind me. So got to spend some time there, and about 6 to 8 months out the year. That's what I would do, and then about 4 to 5 months out the year, the Air Force allowed me to act like a civilian and go wrestle and represent the Air Force on the U.S. national team. So it gave me a chance of almost playing military, right? But also keeping one foot in that civilian world as well. So, but as you said, between those two activities throughout the years that I was in the military, it helped me to understand that I had to be more prudent about my time,
Mm.
more prudent about the things that I was doing, because I couldn't go out and party with the guys that were on the US national team as they would, because I still had a job, and Uncle Sam said you can't do all the things that they do. So it definitely kept me in line, but I tell you, and I needed that, especially a young kid from New Orleans, right? That I came up the same way that many of us did, but I think between strong parents, a great U.S. Air Force, the greatest Air Force in the world,
Yeah.
that really helped me to solidify some of those leadership traits and kind of push me forward within the commercial world that I've been in now for the last 20 plus years.
So tell us just a little bit about your commercial time and how you decided I need to do this. I can do this
Mhm.
on my own.
Yeah, it was interesting. So I'm gonna say as a young kid, now that I'm a little bit older, started a company, thought I could just do it on my back, and I was a technician, I was an engineer, so I could climb some ladders, do that. If I needed an extra $500, guess what? I'll go put up another camera, I'll go do this. Um, Brother can't do that no more.
Whoa, why not? Come on now.
Come on. The furthest I'll go is CrossFit in the morning. I'm not trying to climb ladders. But the interesting part is that was a really good opportunity to understand what it meant to be as a technician, as someone that really needed to grow their company, but I crowbarred it.
Right.
There was nothing that was nice about how I did business back then. Then I got the opportunity to work for two Fortune 100s, and both of them global organizations. I had some really good mentors, and some bad ones, but I had a lot of good mentors that helped to put me into those seats where I was the only one at the table. And I will tell you some of the learnings and some of the lessons that I was given was be happy that you're at the table. Just keep your mouth closed and just listen. And and while that was good coming up, it got to a point where just because I'm sitting at the table, it doesn't mean that you're respecting everything that I'm doing. So I wanted to do this again, and much like Robin Hood, I put together my merry men, and we started up another company. And the greatest part about it is that in the 3 years that we have been open, we're not crowbarring it. It's all based upon relationships. It's based upon our credibility and how we approach the market. And in fact, I see even some of my staff is even on this LinkedIn Live platform, listening in, and hopefully they actually give me high fives or correct me where I'm wrong. Is that we've had a great 3 years with triple digit, profits and revenues going on, and we're just looking at doing this even more.
So before we start getting into leadership, um,
Yeah.
well, tell us the vision of where you're going. Who are your customers? Who are you trying to get after?
And part of me wants to say everybody, but we do have
Don't
a
do
no,
it.
no,
Don't
no.
do
I
it.
won't do that. I won't do that. We do have a saying that, in our businesses, any person that has four walls and a roof, we can service you. But at the end of the day, really for us from a federal government standpoint, it's really that DoD, that VA. That's who we're going after. They love our products and services. They need it. We're not providing things for the warfighters, but we are providing for those that are supporting the warfighters.
Gotcha.
So that's really our lane. From a commercial standpoint, we normally stay in that industrial, the higher tech piece of it, because we have what we call trunk slammers in our industry that they'll go after the random building that's out there. We want the places that when you go in, they're looking at degrees, they're looking at experience, they're looking at your ability and capability to service them in such a way that they don't stop their lines or stop their production because I failed them.
Mm,
So many times that garners a little more money from our client, but
mhm.
it also comes with an expectation that you will do
You will
very well.
perform. Yeah, you're gonna perform.
Exactly. And that's exactly what we want, because I still have that gumption in me. I'll use that word for this environment, that I want to be placed in the hardest environments, because every time that I succeed, I'm just going to raise the bar.
Beautiful. So, what would you say? But before we dive into this topic that you and I are extremely passionate about, which is
Oh yeah.
leadership, what would you say is your unique proposition? What makes Nouveau Communications unique?
Mhm. Just in the name itself, right? Novo is it represents new, and we're trying to show the industry as a whole that it doesn't have to look like your granddaddy's security company, and it doesn't have to be the same exact folks that you're used to seeing. We want to look like the communities that we serve, number one. That is huge for us.
Mm-hmm.
Secondarily, I think our differentiator is that outside of coming with a lot of time and experience, I have collected a team of folks that are so bought in to making things right. I have seen some of our staff that are non billable,
Wow.
that should be sitting in an office doing their job. If we get tight on a job, they will go out and go pull wire and put up devices
Wow.
just to
That's
make sure
commitment.
that our company, and I say our company, is doing well. Because while I may hold documents that say it's mine, it's really our company, and it's just an amazing organization. So looking like our community, and definitely having folks that are dedicated more than I've ever seen in this
Wow.
in this whole field, this industry.
Well, I'm going to say one of my favorite lines: "Speed of the leader, speed of the team." So that's no surprise, So let's dive into this
Yeah.
leadership thing. I've been a student of leadership probably for the last 25 years or so. I learned very early that the impact, positive or negative, that my leadership could have, and as I say, in my younger years, I'm ashamed of the rubble that I caused,
Mhm.
not understanding how accountable we are for our leadership. So what do you how do you define leadership? What would you say?
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there.
No, no, no. I like how you said the rubble that you've done, because for those of us that are ex-military, we have this word hard charger, right? Yeah, hard charger is positive, but it's also
It's also a
negative.
negative, absolutely.
so, so for me, what I really want to do is define it from from the standard that the brain doctors, the psychologists look at what leadership is, not the Webster Dictionary, not what you would look at in an encyclopedia, but what psychology today defines leadership as is it's the capability to translate vision into reality and to inspire others to commit to a common goal.
Yeah.
So in a different way of saying that, in kind of my country words, right, is leadership rests at the intersection of vision and action, or inspiration and perspiration. So we talked a little bit about this earlier, is that if you are just inspiring with no action, you're a blowhard. And and that's perfect if that's what you want to do, to have someone come and see you on a stage and rah rah rah. But at the end of the day, true leadership is the amalgamation of putting that inspiration and perspiration together to make something happen.
Absolutely. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining. We have about 39 folks on right now, which is good. If you know, 47, excuse me, I miscounted 47. My screen shut down. I guess it's saying, nope, you shouldn't be peeking over there. But
You're about to
I
break the
do want
internet.
but I want to thank everybody for joining. You could be any place in the world doing anything, but you've decided to join us right here on the GI Factor with special guest Anthony Peters. We're talking leadership. He's talking about leading a team of leadership. He's got a long history of success. So tell us a little bit more about this philosophy called Think that you mentioned.
Yeah, so talking about being a hard charger, right? So for military members, and I'll put it in civilian terms, is hard charging is being able to go in. I get a mission and I'm gonna go. I'm single-minded. We're gonna make this happen, right? That's great if I'm gonna grab a gun and go clear a building. But at the end of the day, I can't run a business that way. And that's how I used to be as a young man. Is guess what? If you're not a hard charger, we're gonna have issues. And I had many issues. I'll be the first one to say that the reason why I got into learning about leadership and really diving into this was because of my failures. Period.
Likewise.
Just period, right after, end of story.
Yeah.
So one of my mentors actually gave me this acrostic, think before you speak and act, right? And again, coming from the South, we got parables, syllables, acronyms, acrostics, all kinds of stuff. But if you think about it from this standpoint, and hopefully everyone has a pen and paper or something that they can write with, is it true? That's the T. Is it true? The H is it honorable? The I is it inspiring?
Huh.
The N is it necessary? That's a big one. And then the K is it kind?
Yes.
So when leading, that doesn't mean that you can't have a hard conversation with someone, but I can do it in a way that it's kind. I can do it in a way that it's true.
True.
And then I can also inspire them to do more. Versus, hey, guess what? You're just not doing it and you're not worth anything. and I will tell you, old military way of leading, right, is I'm going to kick you in the rear parts and tell you, get up and let's go. That doesn't always work.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm laughing because I was very much similar. I think, especially as a female leader, and I came in the 80s, right, and where there were very few female leaders. In fact, when I made colonel, there were only 45 Black female colonels in the Air Force, and my female mentors told me, you don't cry, you don't show weakness, and and you need to be I don't want to say aloof, but you need to not get too familiar, because the old school was familiarity brings contempt, and when it's time to say charge that hill or go do this, they're gonna go, yeah, that's just that's just the LT or the captain. But what I found is I realized that when I'm going to use it in a spiritual standpoint, crush the spirit of someone. And I think your acronym of THINK is a way of us reminding us not to crush the spirit. And when I say crush the spirit, we make it about the person, not about the issue. And we criticize their character, their capability, their intelligence, indirectly or directly. It's still, the impact is still the same. But I believe that when we are kind, when we use your acronym, I think, is that really necessary? Do we need to use a hammer to kill a gnat, on this issue? And then I think you and I talked about, the implications of our decisions. And I know you had an example you wanted to share, please, or any other, anecdote you wanted to share about, how, especially as a CEO who, we don't have large staffs. So we need everybody. We need everybody going in the right direction.
You're spot on, and one of the things that I would say to kind of put kind of your comments in a bow, right, is that we have to be vulnerable when we're talking to our staff, but secondarily, and we're going to preach a little bit, is that life and death is in your tongue.
Yes. Oh my God. True, true, true.
So when we're speaking to someone, understand that I can lift you, I can build you, even if I'm chastising you for doing something. But I can also, on the flip side, tear you down. I can kill your spirit. I can kill your
Hmm.
soul. And
Hmm.
so one of the stories I would give you is, so early in my career, and this is in, and GI was laughing at me earlier that I really have only had one real grievance against me.
Wait, wait, hold up, y'all. Hold up, hold up. I need some folks to interact in the chat. How many people only have one grievance in a 25-year span? I mean, I'm just
That
saying,
bubbles
this
up to me.
this guy, I'm just gonna tell you, this guy must be like, the second nicest guy in the world, because my husband is number one, because he's had one grievance in 25 years. I
Hey,
wish.
some people say I walk on water, but it's only during the winter when it freezes over. You
Got
know,
you, got you.
so
Go ahead, go ahead. I don't know.
no,
Yeah.
but that's honestly the only one that's really bubbled up to my level, and it was a career limiting one that happened because we were doing a lot of work, and some of the folks that are on here that do know me know this story is we were doing a lot of work for the city of San Francisco and the city of Los Angeles, and we were putting in, if everyone remembers back in the 90s, all the rolling brownouts and blackouts in California, and they were having issues with that. Well, I was charged with putting in generators to relieve some of that. Well, these were 10 and 12-hour days, and as I said earlier, I was that hard charger. So the city of Los Angeles needed us. Today, I laugh about it because the city of Los Angeles didn't even
Didn't
know me.
really need you. No,
Yeah,
but that's the way you
didn't.
felt.
Exactly. So I was gonna save the city,
Yeah,
and every
absolutely.
person on my team
I
was gonna
believe it.
save.
You're
Exactly.
saving the city.
Exactly. 100%. And so one of my employees was like, "Hey, I can't work this, then the other, blah blah blah. I can't work this extra shift, X, Y, and Z." And I had issue with it. I had major issue with it. Um, the next major call that I got was actually from our legal staff that there was a grievance that I didn't care for, I didn't like, minority single parents. It's like, where did that come from? I'm putting in generators to save the city of Los Angeles. We're doing all this stuff. Like, where have I had time to worry about someone being a single parent or being a minority? Hence, I'm a minority. And it was, and it came from that individual that needed to pick up their child. And they needed to do things as a single, and mind you, this was a single father. You
Wow.
don't see very many of them, but as a single father had to pick up their child from daycare and get some things done for their child, homework, blah 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 blah.
Hmm.
All
Hmm.
that. I wasn't hearing it. So the only thing that saved me, and thank God it saved me, was at the time I was engaged to a single minority woman that had a child. God knew that I
Yes,
was
you did.
foolish, and He put this woman in my life just to save me at that moment. But I will tell you that instantly changed my mentality. And then my mentor came in and told me, guess what? Think before you speak.
Yes, enact.
Exactly. So is it true? Is it honorable? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? And is it kind? And I
Wow.
will tell you, of those, I only got two of them right. So that's why my legal team, and they're supposed to be supporting me,
Right,
why while they were thinking about my termination.
right. Wow, wow. Well, you know what? So I have a story.
Yeah.
I believe. Um, I think we talked about this. It's something, that I live by, and I say, and it's inspired. I was doing a change of command when I was
Mm,
in Japan, and I really wanted to say something uh, that really kind of exemplified where I was as a leader. And so
mm,
I ended my speech with the place every great leader should want to be is close to God.
absolutely.
When you think about all the opportunities, I don't care how good you are, how perfect you are, how educated you are, how together you think you are, the place every great leader should want to be is close to God. Because
Mhm.
when you think about the opportunities to mess up the mission, to mess up a product, a service, but more importantly, the lives of people by the
Mhm.
decisions you make, the place every great leader should want to be is close to God. And so, whenever I'm going to make a decision now, I think not only is it necessary, but is
Mhm.
it major enough that I need to react in a certain way? Because what I find is when we are emotional, we make minor things major and we make major things minor. And
Mhm.
so, and so whenever I can feel now, I'm much more conscious of, my breathing, probably age, blood pressure, that I whenever I feel it come, I don't do anything
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
want to make sure that I didn't put it as eloquently as you and your mentor, but I want to think, right? I want to
Mhm.
think before I act and speak. So many times I do nothing, and
Yeah.
sometimes I'm mad at myself that I didn't say anything at the time. But I think it's so important. And a CEO, has a lot of pressure, and
Mhm.
it may not have been Los Angeles, right? But it is some client that they're trying to serve. Uh, and oh,
Sure.
by they don't want a bad grade. We call it the CPARs, is
Mhm.
your grade card for your company
Mhm.
in the federal government. Nobody wants a bad reputation, and so what would you say are some things that a small business owner should think about because they've got the weight of the world. If something doesn't go wrong, right, they could have to cut people because they can't afford to, keep them on payroll. There's a lot of pressures. Many people have, second mortgages on their homes, or these huge these loans with high interest rates. And so
Mhm.
the pressure is great when
Sure.
on them, and so oftentimes they do overreact. But what would be maybe your advice or
Mhm.
an approach to help them, when they're experiencing that?
Absolutely, absolutely. But before going into that, I would tell
Mm-hmm.
everyone that's listening is that what you just said, they should be writing down. Is
The
that
place every great leader should want to be. I'll put it in the chat.
exactly?
Yeah.
They really should be writing that down, and I'll give you a different way of saying
Okay.
it, just from my experiences as well. Is that as a leader, you are entrusted to create life. So
Yes.
imagine that. So both of those, you want to be as close to God, or better yet, you are entrusted to create life. And for those of us that own businesses that are on here, understand what you do when you have a child, right? Is you give them a first name, they take your last name, you get a social security number and card. Well, you do the exact same thing for your business.
True.
You start it by creating a name. And then as you are doing those entity paper, you get a social security number that happens to be an EIN. So you are creating your own child. Now, mind you, you may be a solo entrepreneur, which is perfectly fine. But over time, you're probably going to end up with employees that are W-2, 1099s. You're definitely going to have vendors and you're going to have customers. So you are there entrusted to create life. That is one of the most important roles. Don't let anyone tell you that, hey, your accountant is most important or your admin this, or you are the creator of life for your organization. Now, you may bring in folks that know more than you that are going to help you continue to grow. It's like taking in a good meal and doing some exercise and going to school. But the fact is that you have the most important role within your organization. So take that seriously, because that is what you need to really grow as an organization. But your question was, what would...
Well, before you leave that, I think
Yeah,
I just was typing it in the chat. And I
sure.
think that's so powerful about that you're creating life, right? And that's why I think the fear of failure in business is so daunting, right? It
Mhm.
is that, oh my God, this thing I created, I cannot fail.
Absolutely.
And so the pressures of a CEO are high. It's lonely at the top. There aren't very many places where leaders can go and be vulnerable. What do you do? How do you feed yourself as a CEO, before we move to the next topic?
It's I do a couple things. Number one, I speak to my CEO peer group. So I have folks that I can lean on and cry on their shoulders and go, today wasn't a good day, and woe is me, and someone peed in my Cheerios, all that kind of stuff, right? So I have them. Plus, I've been blessed to be able to hire folks that could easily be CEOs of their own organizations. Period. Flat. End of story. They are able to run their own organizations. So I can go to them when I'm having challenges inside of the organization and get wise counsel. So if you go back to old English times, right, where you see the movies where the king is sitting there and he has the bishop or the priest and he has his counselors around him. Well, I have those around me, and not because I was just smart enough to put them there, but I'll tell you, as a man of faith, God put these people in my life that wanted to be on the team, that are great counselors to me. So number one, that's how I do it. But secondarily, I remember our mission. So I'm gonna go back to hard charging because it's still in me. But the fact is that our mission, I don't care what widget we sell or what service we're providing. I want to provide the avenue and the ability to put people that are veteran, folks that are women, folks that are minority into this space that has been a chasm for all of us. I want 10 years from now to see more folks that look like me and you sitting at some of these tables.
Absolutely. And I think I'm just going to say this before, because this is a whole topic by itself.
Oh yeah.
But you made me think about, strategic hiring, right? And I think you talked about at some of these tables. I think that, and know, right, that there should be more veterans sitting at board tables.
100%.
And it's a strategic move. And the reason it's a strategic move is because when you hire the right veteran, not just a veteran, right?
Mhm.
they have seen excellence wide, deep, globally, at the lower tactical level, at the mid level, at the Air Force level, at the higher levels. They have
Sure.
seen leadership and excellence at such a huge, in a huge diverse way, that bringing that talent to a board, to an advisory board, you
Mhm.
know, even as a, a SME on certain things,
Mhm.
will just catapult the company, because many of those situations and scenarios nobody in the company has ever experienced, but a veteran who has the right background, has.
Mhm.
And I've said this before, many times people are trying to devise a position description and put a veteran in it when it is a square peg trying to go into a round hole, and you're missing out on all of those other things where they could be the solution for your company. And so I think this is especially important for small business, because if you can get one person
Yep.
that's the right person. I think we talked about this yesterday or earlier today,
Mhm.
today, that they are addition and they are multiplication. You
Absolutely.
get the wrong person, and that's one of the things I want to ask you next, then they are division and they are subtraction. Just think about
Absolutely.
anybody who's been wrong for the company. I mean, that you've been wrong in an organization.
Mhm.
They are divisive and they are subtracting from the team every single
Sure.
time. So talk a little bit about that, and then I know we've got one other point, and then we're about to bring Lori on so we can really
Yeah. Yeah,
get going with the
absolutely.
fire, because I can't wait for the Q&A between the three of us. So that's why I'm super
Oh
excited.
yeah, absolutely. And I would say the interesting part is, and I could bet a dollar that you still have all of your leadership manuals from the
I do.
military,
I do.
because when you build that culture, right? You know that if you're going to get promoted, you better know what's in those books, and you better be living out what were in those books.
True.
So, unfortunately, in the civilian world, we take 18 different types of leadership classes. All of them say different things to go left, up, down, right. We're confused how to lead, and then we walk back into our organizations and hope that we're going to do well. I would say, before answering that question, pick one or two leadership styles, hone in on them, and then own it.
Absolutely.
Not
And you've got to see with your mentors what you should, how you might want to be, right?
absolutely 100%. But to talk about strategic hiring, and again, as I was thinking about this, uh, I was meditating on what should I talk about, because leadership is a subject that's 10 gallons wide, right? And we only have time to pick out just morsels. And someone texted me just on Thursday and said, "Hey, after now I've known this person for 20 years. They worked for me 20 years ago. I was one of their mentors. They went away, came back. I left and went to another organization." Um, and he texted me and just said, "Hey, I was thinking about you, this and the other. I'm getting promoted, and was thanking me." And this is literally just this Thursday. So this is how God works. And he was like, "I still use one of your, again, I'm from South, right? One of your sayings to hire people, and that's can do, will do, and fit.
Wow. Say
Period.
it again. Say it again.
Can do, will do, and fit." And I'll explain what those are. So super super simple. When you are hiring someone, don't hire just because you have a need, because when you're needy, you're normally going to make the bad decision or the wrong decision about the person, because you're going to see, oh, they fit this little space, and you're kind of shove them in, but not realizing that they don't fill the whole void that you need. So can do. Can the person, can the candidate, can the vendor, can your client do this particular job or project? if you're going to go into a teaming agreement, for those of us that are government contractors, can the person or organization that I am teaming with do X? If they can't, they may not be the right teaming partner. So do they have the capacity to do that particular thing? Then the will do is about motivation. You know, does that client, does that vendor, does that candidate have the motivation to do this particular thing? Just because someone can do it doesn't mean that they will. I can race a car, but I don't want to be a car racer. Right? So the fact is, do they have the motivation? And then lastly, fit. That has nothing to do with white, black, creed, sex, race, anything like that. It's, do they fit the cultural construct of your organization and where it's going? Now I can't teach fit. Either you fit in our organization or you don't. I can teach you the can do, because that's the tactical things.
Mm-hmm.
The will do, I can motivate you, but if you don't have that intrinsic or internal motivation, I can't teach that either.
Uh-huh.
So I will take someone that is low on the can do, but very high on the will do and fit.
You know, it's so funny about, I don't do charity work.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a long time ago, I don't have patience. I'm so results driven. I mean, and imagine I'm calmed down now. Okay. Now, you know, you got me 20, 30 years ago. Yikes. You know, the patience was about this. Now I've got about this much patience.
Yeah.
But I have, you know, part of this is knowing yourself, right? Even when you said about the, you know, if they're not motivated, I'm not throwing a can of gasoline on you every day, saying, get fired up. Let's go. You better have it. You might need direction. You might need, you know, a little bit of wisdom to not just, you know, all vector and no direction. But I cannot take somebody who is not ready to go. Right. I want somebody to go that I have to slow down, say, go to the right, to the left. Mm-hmm. That's why I said I don't do charity work. Now, when I come across somebody, I will say, hey, I got one for you. I got friends who love to motivate, mold. I want an all-star team. Let's lose Deion Sanders. If you're in the portal, I'm looking for the stats. I'm stacking my team. I'm not looking for somebody who's not ranked high. I want you to just need opportunity and access. I'm your gal. Yep. But if I gotta give you a full, not the potential can be there, but if I gotta fire you up, I'll run out of gas and be like, okay, that was done. Yeah.
No, that's great that you said that, and I'm sure there's someone in your platform, on your platform today, that is thinking about hiring someone. True. Or making that hiring decision. True. Should I hire? Should I hire this person?
Yes.
Should I hire someone else? Because we've all had it where that underperformer is there. Lord. And we say, hey, how about we hire one more person? Well, so now you need 1.5 people or 2 folks to do one person's job. This is your company. Remember, you are there to create life.
Life, yes.
And if you are planting your seed in soil that is not going to give you a fertile fruit, sometimes you got to prune.
And so what advice would you give as we wrap up? I'm going to do this one, then I'm going to ask you to give your top 3 points to, CEOs, but because we're going to get Lori on the stage. But tell me, hiring, I think the most difficult person to hire, from what I hear, now I don't know because I've never hired anybody in my own company, is that first employee. Who are they? Right? And what can they bring? And the business development person. right? Am I ready for someone to do business development?
Yeah.
Tell me, what advice would you give to the CEOs? We got 81 people watching,
Yeah.
so tell us.
I will. I'm going to give you my answer and not
Absolutely.
the academician's answer.
That's what we want. We don't want no
So
academia here. We want you to use the academia
yeah,
thesis, but we want to hear AP. That's what I call them, y'all. Anthony P.
exactly.
AP.
So the academics will disagree with me, but for me, I want someone that is going to, number one, fill the void that I know I have.
True.
So that means you have to know yourself. You have to understand where your blind spots are.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're the type of person, so imagine you're in a car, if you're the type of person that tends to look at the rearview mirror more than you're looking out the front window, you need someone that wants to look out that front window and then put them into the driver's seat. That doesn't mean you still can't be CEO and owner and founder, but you need someone that's going to look out that front window. Now, if you're someone that only looks forward and doesn't look back, you need someone that's going to check your mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
But also you need someone that is going to stand on the outside that may hover over you, that can see those blind spots that you may have. Because just because you're checking all the mirrors doesn't mean that you don't see where that car is now sitting there, where if you move into that other lane, you're still going to hit them. So for me, get someone that is going to elevate your organization and push you. So starting a company is all about ego many times, right?
Is it?
Yeah. So this will be your first challenge at leaving your ego at the door and listening to someone else's wise counsel.
Say that again. So true.
So this is the time for you to leave your ego at the door. And the most important part is listening to someone's wise counsel. Now, if they ain't wise, and yes, I said ain't, don't hire them.
Right.
Period.
Don't even if you haven't hired them and they're talking to you, don't listen.
You're absolutely right. And so that's number one for those of us that are trying to build a foundation. And then two, when you're looking at business development, you don't need someone that has sold $50 million before. You need someone that has the willingness, that will do, and that fit. Because they can go source all the books that I got behind me and that's in a library. And today's world, we got YouTube and this and that. They can learn the skill, but if they do not have the right acumen to go get it, I don't care how many sales books that they've read, spin selling and this and that.
How important is it for a business development capture person to also be willing to sit down and craft the strategy and work on the proposal, or especially in a small business?
Oh my goodness. So I won't call out his name, but I know he's on here listening to me. That is imperative, because if you don't know how to tend the field, how are you going to teach somebody else to tend it? So, and I would add to that from a sales standpoint is they should be the highest ranking relationship builder in that organization. So even if they don't know how to sell, they know how to build relationships. They know how to connect with people. Because I can, again, think about from a sales standpoint, I may not know how to sell myself out of a wet bag. But the fact is, if I pull someone in that's really good at selling the tactical things, but if I say, hey, guess what? I know GI. I have a great relationship with her. We've been talking a little bit about what we can do and how we can help her. Would you step into the divide and help us put together the tactical pieces to move us over the finish line. But if they can't build the relationships, you are dead in the water.
True. Relationships is everything. We gotta have a whole session. I mean, I want to bring a panel and talk about, because this relationship thing, y'all know I'm super passionate about it, because everybody's learning, doing data, getting business intelligence. They're doing, the hand gladding, but where's the ROI? How can you do this thing, build relationships, partnerships with clients in a deliberate, strategic way? Stand by for that. So y'all keep listening to the GI Factor, because we're going to be on here regular and talking about some amazing things. Anthony, thank you. Don't go nowhere, because we are going to, guess what? Have a great conversation after we hear from Lori. Thank you. How many of y'all really enjoyed AP or Anthony's words of wisdom? Think. Then he said, what did he say? Right fit, right attitude. And you might have said it differently. Right fit, right attitude, and right skill set.
Can do, will do, fit.
Can do, will do, fit. Can do, will do.
I'm a simple man. Can do, will do, fit.
And you notice he got the 3 main points. That's something from the military that never leaves us.
Absolutely.
Anthony, thank you so much. Don't go nowhere. We're going to bring you right back. Next up is, and if y'all enjoyed Anthony, give him some love. Follow him. Follow his company. We are going to next bring up my sister in service, Lori Smith. And she is just this amazing individual. She is a woman of God. She is almost that close to her PhD. She's a former contracting officer. She has been an acquisition professional all of her adult life, ensuring that people's mission, health, and welfare could be achieved for the organizations that she served. She is a co-author of a course that is impacting our future acquisition workforce in the federal government, as well as she has her own business. I probably left some stuff out because this girl is just absolutely amazing. So I can't wait to come on in here, girl. Let's talk. So y'all have to know, Lori and I, are y'all ready? Are you ready? Because are you ready? What's up, Diva?
I had to come off mute. I had to come off mute, because while Professor Peters was talking, I was just busting out in my praise dance, and the quickening of the spirit and all, and I didn't want y'all to hear me, right? Man, oh my goodness, that was
the boy. He's our brother. Is he not our brother?
You know what? I told y'all. I asked my mom who were those kids she brought in our house, because they could not be my siblings. Lord, I had no idea she done gave them away to somebody else. Who does that? Right? That's my brother.
I'm telling you. Let me tell you about this amazing spirit. Let me tell you about this amazing
wonderful, sir. That was awesome.
Wasn't it awesome? It was the fire.
Yes.
Right? And Hugh, who is one of our regulars on Demystifying Government Contractors, said, yes, I agree with everything Anthony said. He's the truth.
Oh, he is. He is. Absolutely.
Oh my God. Well, girl, let's just transition to you. Because first of all, let me tell you about this amazing woman of God who joined me on Demystifying Government Contracting. I had never met her in my life. Now, we both spent, 20 plus years in the Air Force. Our paths never crossed. Then she's at the VA. I'm at the VA. But we got 400,000 people. I still don't know her. Took her to leave the VA, right, for me to meet this amazing woman. And when I tell you how amazing she is, I'm talking to her, oh my God, it's almost a year ago.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not feeling good. I had to take some time off of work. I was going through a lot of stress. Do you know she got in her car and drove from Savannah up to Virginia and spent some time with me, woo, I'm going to tell you, that touched me in a way that I will never forget. Because I live by a philosophy that we live life in the middle. Mm-hmm. There's the ups and there's the downs. Most people are with us in the middle. When we celebrating, the haters ain't with us. They was there in the middle, grinning and skinning, but they alive. And then we got the people when we're low, the folks in the middle, they're laughing. Yeah. But the people who come see about us when we are at our low, who minister to us, uplift us, man, this sister, love her. In fact, she had this idea about building community, and she started talking to me about it when she came to visit me. And I was like, yeah, girl, I love that. Go do that. Let's do that. And here she is, amazing community builder. That's what we want to talk about today, girl. I know we said we was going to talk about some other stuff, but this is about the amazing things that you are doing with your Sowing Our Seeds ministry, community, conference, all of that. But before we get to that, tell us, how did you get started in the Air Force and then in contracting? And then we're going to move a little further. Then we're going to talk some more about all the great things you're doing.
Well, as always, Michelle, thank you so much for your generosity and your humility. I thank you for giving me an opportunity to be a part of, who and what you're doing. And so I really do appreciate that.
It's my honor.
I do have a love for God's people. And man, you are one of his peoples. You are his. You've been chosen. You've been set aside and you've been set apart. So regardless of what they say, I never doubt that.
Amen.
So know that part. But, I actually started in the military in the reserves.
What?
I was in the Force Reserve at Robins Air Force Base. I joined on the buddy program with a young girl. We grew up in church together. And of course, my buddy left me. We went through basic together for a little bit because she was ROTC. So she left me at basic. And then, of course, she transitioned out of the unit sooner than I did. And probably after 4 years of being in the reserve, I decided to go active duty. And truth, all honesty, transparency, y'all, there was a time when I left the body of Christ, got grown, and y'all know sanctified girls don't know nothing about me in a relationship. I got hooked up with this person. And we're friends today. But Lord knows I had to go in the military to leave him. You have to put treadway between somebody.
I can tell we're gonna have a good time.
Yeah. Already. And so, and of course, once I went active duty, first duty station was Myrtle Beach. Really enjoyed it. But I'm always learning. I'm always reading, and I always like to know what are the rules of engagement, right? And so I found out as a first-term airman that, your first 4 years, you can go back and forth as long as you went overseas. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I did Myrtle Beach for that first year. Then I went to Comiso, Sicily. Wow. SALT treaty was actually signed when I was there. Wow. Left Comiso, Sicily, went to Maxwell Air Force Base, and Lord knows that was not it. I got there in March. In May, I said the devil is a lie. In June, I had an assignment, and I was out of there. I said, oh no, we couldn't do Maxwell. And then, of course, after I left Maxwell, I went to King Salmon, Alaska. And then after that, I went to Homestead. And so Homestead Air Force Base, is where Hurricane Andrew came through. Son was 3 months old at that point in time. And I think that started my purposeful shift in who I was and going back to just staying anchored in the kind of person that I have been rooted to be. So I always did community work. And Eglin Air Force Base really became that springboard for me to get, after you go through something like a hurricane, it becomes, you have to sit and think, because had it not been for the military, even though I had some education, I was undereducated.
Wow.
So when mentally, as I'm, going back after the storm and not even being able to really still to this day wrap your head around the magnitude of the devastation, my condo started caving in as we were in it. So in essence, I lost everything. So had I not, had the job mentally, though, I went through everything everybody else did. So when you are mindful that I am a single parent, I got a 3-month-old.
Wow.
I'm undereducated, and now we don't have a home, and so it's like, but for the military, I would have been as traumatized and just, I can't even imagine, the mental anguish that a lot of people went through as a result of that. So of course, once I got to Eglin Air Force Base, my priorities were to reestablish my son's foundation, get my butt in school and finish up my education, and to give back to the community. And that's who I was raised to be. And that's what I've been doing my whole life almost now.
So you came back. You left for a minute and you came back. So were you always in contracting even in those early days, or did you cross train?
Well, actually, I cross-trained because I was in logistics, but logistics is still a component of acquisition. So it was logistics. I was a supply, and then towards the latter part of my supply career, I ended up being in procedures and analysis. So I was writing policy instructions and conducting inspections and that type of oversight. But then leaving. Howard Air Force Base in Panama facilitated the close down and the transition of Howard up until the May. I think I left for May.
And for those who don't know, I don't mean to cut you off, but you got so much deep knowledge. She just rolled over that, closing down, and I thought, do you know that is a major thing? That is a major thing when you close down a base, because you've got to account for all of the equipment, the people, the movement of that, closing down of buildings, transferring of buildings and assets to the local, country. I just wanted to say, you're a bad sister. I just wasn't going to let you roll over that.
Well, thank you for that, because, to your point, I actually closed down my warehouse early, right? But I was always actively involved. And so I had already closed down my warehouse, and I actually got hand selected to be the NCOIC of protocol.
Wow.
Because I was actively involved. So, I was out doing spot one, getting dirt blown in my face. I said, okay, this right here is overrated, but absolutely enjoyed it. But, because I was a people person, when they would fly in, I'd be out there and they say, oh, Lori, you don't have to do that. That's what the generals would say, right? And I was like, okay. General said, I don't have to be out here. I am not going to be out here. I would take that, but just really loved it. It was just me, because that was just what I did, hosting parties and things of that nature. That was a component of what I did before I came into the military. And so I came into contracting after I left Howard Air Force Base, and went to Nellis, and was actually only at Nellis Air Force Base for a year. But again, because I was purposeful, in contracting, it wasn't too much different, than what I had already introduced myself to or been affiliated with in supply, because, they did buyers as well. And so was there for a year. And then I said, oh, I can't sit here, because I wasn't challenged to the degree that I needed to be. But within my first year, I got there, I handled all of the unfunded requirements. And so me with my little fancy self, I had 600 requirements. I went out, we got special language, our negotiated rates, put them on a spreadsheet. So when they was doing their little meetings as about what's going to be funded, they just knew, pick this right here, send me over there, I'm hitting translate. They thought I was just wonderful. And
you are, what do you mean they thought you were wonderful? You are wonderful. So
went to Honduras and just had a fabulous, I was like, okay, let me go to Honduras. Superintendent was like, oh, well, I see you went and volunteered for an assignment, and I don't think, you'll be able to do it, because, I don't want to set you up for failure. I said, well, don't worry. That's not part of my name. Went down there, you all, and the most amazing thing happened. Leaving Honduras, right? Davis-Monthan Air Force Base was our headquarters.
That's in Arizona, y'all.
Yes. I was stratified as number 1 of 512 senior NCOs, not master sergeants, senior NCOs. Leaving Honduras, I ended up winning the installation senior NCO of the quarter, and it just so happened my EPR was due. They stratified me 1 of 512. The chief came to meet me. I said, this for real? And it was just amazing. So one of the things as a young person, I grew up in a holiness church, if nobody's guessed, and my pastor used to always pray that God would not only protect and keep me and my child, but he would give me the favor of people.
And he has
that
done
has
that.
been a gift that he has given me. And although she's transitioning, going on to heaven, although my mom is no longer here, the beauty of God's word is that it's never returned void.
Amen.
And because of that, as I lived my career and, saw the things that I saw, I always knew, and even in doing, there are contractors, I give you names and companies now, you go call them, they'll remember me and they will tell you, Lori always gave us the information we needed. I just never withhold.
Yes.
If you came to talk to me, you came to talk to my whole staff, because guess what? They're doing the work.
Yes.
So I can assign them something I want them to remember what I'm remembering. And because of that, we were always able to recall a briefing we had heard, call people in, give folks opportunities in the Fort Belvoir area. And it was just a wonderful thing. And so I'm fortunate. I don't meet strangers per se. Not that I'm out as much as I used to be, because I was stalked for 4 years while I was stationed at Eglin, and so that changed some things a bit. But my blessing is, even in that adversity, it did not alter his will for my life.
Amen. So, well, I want to ask a couple of things you said. It seems to me the theme, and that's really, why you're here, is that you've been a leader, a standout, and a lot of that had to do with your passion for excellence, right? That you are an example of God's work, right? And God's favor. And so as a result, when you were in Honduras, I'm sure, there were people who, like you already said, who didn't think you could do it, but you did. Then I know when you were in Okinawa, right? You also, did amazing things there and had the favor of very senior leaders. But again, I think that has to do with your leadership, who you are as a person. And so when you now decided, and oh, by the way, if you look at the Fort Belvoir Hospital, as you're going down Route 1, which runs parallel to I-95 or I-95, because it is past 495 point. You will know that Lori was the contracting officer and program manager for that hospital to ensure that, our veterans and military members receive quality care on time, on budget, as well as she gave many opportunities to small businesses to be successful and enabled them. Second of all, she retired out of the VA as the director who was in charge of community care. For those of you who don't know what community care is, that's when the VA cannot provide care or the care is too far away from a veteran's home. They contract with other providers, medical providers, to provide that care. And they still trying to get Lori back because they miss her. And I think that's a tribute to who you are, that you left such deep footprints. Not that somebody couldn't do it, but they couldn't do it in the way that you did. And so I want to, applaud you for your leadership just in your federal service, career, which is about how many years total between VA and Air Force?
Well, actually, it was 41 years, because I actually started working for the government in high school. So
41 years of distinguished service. So when you decided that you were going to retire and now start your own thing, what made you decide you wanted to teach, right? Because you do work and you have cohorts and you're impacting the minds and careers of young acquisition professionals in federal government. Tell us about that.
Well, actually, my goal at one point, I thought I was going to be a counselor, right? Because again, I got that great training with the Bridgeway Rehabilitative Center in Fort Walton Beach and crisis line. So I did a lot of work there. So I really thought I was going to be a mental health counselor. But when I was stationed actually at Las Vegas, I was actually an adjunct professor at that point in time. So caught the teaching bug real early. And so the beauty of it was that, and again, in operating in excellence is to show enlisted people as well, there are great things that you can do too. Mm-hmm. And so I really enjoyed that because I had the opportunity to sow into the minds of enlisted persons, letting them know all the things that was available to them. So that was a grateful, that was a humbling experience for me. And I was always just wanted to get back into that. At one point, I was working on a PhD in 2002, and then the war broke out. And so I did choose mission over continuing that. And at one point, I thought I would research and still be in academia as well. But one of the things I've always been able to do is identify and pull out greatness. So I've been developing people really my whole life. I have been developing people. So during my time, especially as a superintendent in Okinawa, I was the chief of contingency. So you make sure training as well. And then when I became superintendent, it's making sure that the development of all the enlisted persons was to the degree that it needs to be. But then I also made sure the young officers, as well as all the civilians, I made sure everyone was developed. And so knowing how education and how learning works, again, being a student of the behavioral sciences, how can you take that and utilize it, and to make sure that when I cannot provide you training in a classroom setting and I have you on the job, how do I reinforce that learning? And I was pushed ahead in that because the Air Force decided during that time frame, if you remember, we had that brief moment of amnesia or whatever, and we cut out the contracting schoolhouse.
That's true.
And they sent 2 babies to me. And I said, oh, my Lord. And so now you're getting somebody straight from basic training that you got to teach a technical, very regulated curriculum. So how do I do that? So it's on JT, reinforcing it with whatever type of learning that I could provide. But I've always wanted to make sure everyone had an opportunity to be their best versions of themselves. Even in my capacity as an advisor, as a contracting officer for the federal government, when contractors came to talk to me and to see me in my office, we made sure we were giving them exactly what it was that they needed. There were times, especially at Fort Belvoir, it's medical. So sometimes people would come and we don't need what you have to offer, but I'm going to listen to your presentation. I'm going to give you advice. I'm going to give you homework. And then I'm going to tell you who doorbell you should be ringing. Yeah, and so that was just what I did. So, while on active duty, actually, when I was in Turkey, my approach to development actually was documented as an Air Force best practice. So I always wanted to care for people in a way, whereas I want to make sure that if excellence is who you want to be, I'm going to make sure you get there. And then 2, my blessing was there was times where I was able to engage people that had never had a leader that cared, and who compelled them to, want to do things differently. And so I think now, even as I transition to my own company, what I still want to do is make sure that people have the tools and the resources they need in order to be successful if government contracting or corporate contracting or state contracting is what you want to do. And my job now is to, hey, I want to facilitate your preparation. Because again, if we prepare you right, and you ain't got to be perfect, but just let me get you prepared. If you come prepared right, then you're able to maintain and be successful. I loved a whole lot of what Anthony had to say, because it all ties back to, as small businesses, from our mindset, one of the things we have to do, and I often tell folks, one, you got to be mindful of the gifts God has given you already. When we transition, especially for military people, sometimes it's a mindset thing. Even to your point, we have these stellar careers, but when I retired, I worked with a coach for 2 years because, one, I wanted to make sure my mindset was where it needs to be to operate in my new place. Yes. That I gave away or threw away any gifts I had, because those are my foundation. So when we talk about establishing relationships, when we talk about developing people, when we talk about influencing people or getting people to do what you want them to do, it all is a culmination of who you are as a person. So if you don't know how to do that, maybe in that instance, you are victim, or you are, you have the imposter syndrome. But all you need to do is just be you. Because again, most of us, when we start these businesses, especially post-career, we left a corporate, we left the government, and we're starting our thing now. We were leaders. Who were you as a leader? How did you view accountability? So did you maintain accountability from a empowerment perspective? If you had staff members, how did you empower and develop them? And I really love what Anthony said about that, because that is key. When you empower people, man, they could be working under somebody could think was the most austere conditions, but because you treat them right, because you're so into them, man, they are there. When I was at Fort Belvoir, my office wasn't big enough for 2 people to be in, let alone 6 people. I gave myself the smallest space. But y'all, guess what? And then it's also about cross-applying concepts. So in the commercial world, we talk about profit and loss. From a contracting perspective in government, profit and loss is whereas if contracting don't execute everything and get all that money out the books, that's a profit and loss situation. And so my thing was, I had an office of 6 of us. There was 42 people up the street at Walter Reed headquarters. But y'all, we executed everything. We had no issues. My people would work tirelessly. And you know why they did it? Because I was right there with them.
Yes.
My sleeves pulled up right along with them. So when you're developing people, even now in your own corporate businesses, when you're developing people, you are going to have to get in the trenches. So to Anthony's point, even if you ain't tending the field, you got to know what needs to happen for the field to be tended. So we have to be mindful of that. And when people see that you're authentic in that, they're following you to the moon and the back.
I want to
ever understand why I was able to inspire in them just the people to work as hard as they did. But I always explained our goal, our mission, and why we was doing what we were doing. So it was
their important.
We all lived it.
And their important role in what you all were doing.
Yes.
Yeah. And when people understand why they're doing what they're doing and how their role is critical to its success, it makes them work in a different way. You are an example of the kind of senior enlisted leader that I had the opportunity to experience when I was a second lieutenant. So I tell people, you love how you've been loved, you mentor how you've been mentored, and you coach how you've been coached. And so when I came in, my dad was an Army colonel, and he said, find a good senior NCO and hold on to their coattail. And Chief Ed Moran, who's now up there with heaven, he trained me. He treated me with respect. People knew if you had a problem with Gardner, you went to the chief, and the chief was going to mentor the LT and help her get things straight. And I was the chief's lieutenant. As far as I was concerned, I worked for him my first 3 years in the military, right? He wasn't my chief, but he taught me to lead enlisted. He taught me to be technically competent. He taught me how to motivate people. And I'm thankful for, leaders like you. And I think it's important for senior people, whether it's a CEO or otherwise, to realize there are other leaders who may not have the title, but oftentimes have more or greater influence. And so I want to kind of segue into that and get your perspective as a former, CO. When companies are engaging with the with the government, they always want to go to the SES. Let me talk to the secretary. Let me talk to the executive director of Algebra. Let me talk to, all these people who do you think they should be talking to? And what should their approach be? Because many times they're insulting the very people or overlooking. Some people, might be insulted, but they're overlooking the very people who could be of tremendous success, tremendous part of their business success.
Well, I would encourage people to find out who that program manager is and who are some of those stakeholders. Because if you find a stakeholder or a program manager, stakeholders have a lot of influence, especially in the VA, as you very well know. A lot of requirements happen external and are triggered externally because somebody may meet the doctor on the golf course, tell them about something wonderful. And so they're like, oh, okay. And they go do their own independent research and they say, oh, right, that's a game changer. And then it goes up in that capacity. So you do want to be mindful of who the key people are. So when you talk about that acquisition team, it is more than the contracting officer. Now, the contracting officer is the only one with the authority to bind the government. And in some instances, your contracting officer is also your source selection authority. But in most instances, especially with all of these multi-million, multi-billion dollar requirements, most agencies has a threshold, a dollar threshold as a policy. And when it goes over a dollar threshold, that agency will appoint someone uniquely qualified and is a senior high-level expert in the area of where you're purchasing from or who that customer is. And they're going to find somebody in that leadership chain and they would be appointed as the source selection authority. And so in that vein, the dynamics have changed. But for the most part, when you are trying to find out who do I engage, and that's why it's important to go to the acquisition planning briefing that agency have. I think Coach Austin was talking about sitting in on a TLD meeting. A lot of agencies have a lot of weekly meetings. I'm on repeat on quite a few of them. If my lunch break, I can take some. Okay, I take it. Otherwise, no, I'm going to go and they're going to send me a copy of the recording. The beauty of signing up, you get it the next day if you don't.
Y'all heard that, right? Sign up.
But it's important for you to go because that is where you identify and find out not only where the target office that you were targeting and looking at, what they're doing, you can find out what somebody is doing in another component of it. So if you got a colleague or a friend and you hear something, that may pique your interest as well. So it is very key to know who the players are. And when you go even in the SAM sometimes, or even FPDS, it's a great place because in FPDS is actually going to identify even who that core is. And so you have different people that are part of the acquisition process and or as a stakeholder, but probably the closest ones to the ground or to the pedal would be your stakeholder, your end user, and that program office, someone in that program office.
Great. So let's talk about this acquisition briefing. What should they be? How often is it once a quarter? Is it annually? Because I have to be truthful with you. I didn't know about the acquisition planning briefings probably till a year ago when I start hearing you and others, talk about it.
Well, typically, most agencies will have them on an annual basis, even though some organizations internal to an agency may do something independent of that. But I think the Army has theirs, or DHS, they have theirs at the convention center up there in Washington. So you'll find a lot of different agencies that will have theirs. But I know the VA, ours was annual. So you have your acquisition planning briefing, but that's not the other briefings that, a lot of conferences occur in the VA. But again, the idea is to find out, identify who are you trying to date and get on their rhythm. And I think that goes to the point of understanding. I think Guy talked about understanding how the buying, that cycle of buying. You also need to know that cycle, how the government provides information. And so when you understand the cycle of how the entity that you are trying to get next to provide information, now you're able to be a bit more strategic in your efforts. And that goes back to that. Now I'm going to get to know them. And if you're not able to go to every live event, I mean, again, even in academia, we do secondary research. So secondary research is you going online, reading about the organization, you going online, downloading their strategic plan, you going online to see, okay, what do their scorecard look? You want to find out everything it is about the organization, and also setting yourself up for alerts, because now you can also set up for alerts about that organization. So you just have to do that research and get to know that client that you are pursuing, and then look to see who names are popping up on some of these articles, some of these briefings, and these documents, because those potentially may be people, may not be at the SES level, but it may be someone that you can speak to and talk with about the effort that you are trying to pursue.
Absolutely. And so during these acquisition planning briefings is where you can hear the leaders, if I understand, because
Yes.
I've never been to any of them. But the leaders of the organization are telling their vision about where they're going to spend money and why. And so that's the reason for its importance. Is that true?
Yes, that's true. They will also tell you all the things that they've done thus far. So it's like they will start and say, hey, we've done this, we've done this. And so you get to see the numbers of they put their money up until that point. And then the major rule or major intent, or one of the intents again, is the planning briefing. So now after they tell you all the things they've already done, now they're going to let you know, okay, this is what we have on the horizons. And so now you're able to see where they are going to be plugging their money. Again, it's their is a presentation of their strategic goals. You know, they put it in a document someplace over there, and now they're bringing it full circle and holistically as an organization or as a component. Every division or sector within that component is coming in, and every entity is going to brief their information. Wow. So when you hear about any type of plan or briefing, you know, and they will be announced out on sam.gov is where they will announce their briefings as well. And you can even go out there and Google, you know, plan and briefings and things of that nature, and it'll let you know whether anybody has any planned or scheduled. But that is the intent of the briefing, is to communicate what we've done, what goals we met. You know, because sometimes they can have an intent to do something and something may happen. What triggered that shit? Right. Get that information at that in that briefing.
So, you know, many CEOs who are leaders of their company leave the leadership of relationships and business building to someone else. What is your perspective on that? Because we're talking leadership. So I want these CEOs to hear. We got 107 people on here, right? At least 50, 70 of them are CEOs.
Well, one of the things is that I can't leave me nowhere. So if you, and I think sometimes I was sharing with someone at the VWise conference, we have to stop ourselves from getting caught up in the most trendiest of terminology. You are a leader. Look at your career. I retired after 41 years of service. Y'all, let me tell y'all something. You know, for what I realized, I said, girl, you up in here getting confused with this sanctified stuff. You ain't told your story. Oh, your girl, y'all just don't know. Oh, 41 years from high school on, every year when he give you a win. Sweetie, I got 41 significant accomplishments.
No imposter there. No, ladies and gentlemen, no imposter here. We're talking. And so
when you talk about leadership, so when you look at your career is indicative of who you are. That discipline is what you're going to take into your business now. You have a requirement to be mindful about your leadership, because that leadership should indicate that I've always operated in a place of excellence. I've always tried to do the things that was right. So you were accountable. You know, if you had people that work for you, you empowered them. So the discipline and the things that you do, and as you transition, is nothing changing. You, just like you are who they see when you go look for money, and they keep telling you you don't need no Social Security number, you can just do it with your EIN. Yeah. You showing up cute is showing up cute. I am me. All I did was shift it where he now requires me to serve, but I'm still doing me.
Service.
So in my service, nothing about me has changed in that I'm still reskilling myself, which is very key that Anthony even mentioned. We have a responsibility. If you want to do this thing, you have to learn the things that you didn't bring to the table.
Yes.
I have what I'm learning or not allowing myself to accept is I'm actually a better salesperson than I like to sell, right? You know, people make selling just so whatever, but I'm a great salesperson. Y'all, let me tell you something. I had 17, 15, 16 people just show up to support me. And most of them had never met me. You know, they left husbands, they left wives, and they drove because of what? Lori had a vision. But because of who I was as a leader, I always have a philosophy, and anyone that's ever worked for me, you can call them and they will tell you, Ms. Smith always told us her job was to develop them to replace her. Whether that was figuratively or I put you in a different seat, that should be the job of everyone. So when you have done that and you've imparted those people, you make sure they're not only their technical competency was good, but you personally and make sure their professional development was, and you are able to realize those things, you know, that's who you were. You're bringing that into your business. And so your excellence that you always operated in, being mindful and respectful, you know, because you've always shown that you could do that, you know, and when you've done those things, okay, now you can still engage people. You can still influence people because I'm not learning a new discipline. I'm just operating in who I am on a different street.
So true. So, you know, Lori, all of that leadership that you learned, the person that you are, how did this vision of sowing our seeds come about? Tell us what sowing our seeds is and what your vision is for that effort.
Well, sowing our seeds the intent was to establish, and I'm still going to do it, y'all. Sowing our seeds. Well, first it was sowing seeds. And then I went and visit my sister here. You know, I was talking to her, you know, she always got to, you know, Michelle, she's succinct about some things. She's strategic. She said, oh, no, we need to add "our" in there. And I had to pray about it because I didn't want to sound selfish, right? And so I was like, okay, I said, I'm liking this right here. And so sowing our seeds it became. But sowing seeds was, again, it's about when you're sowing seeds, for one, you're not planting anything. You're strewing. So if I throw and give you the information, again, some seeds will take root, some won't. My hope is that they will, because I'm sowing the seed. I'm giving you the information. So as a result, as I lived out my contracting career, the one thing I often saw quite frequently was how unprepared a lot of awardees would be. A lot of small businesses, especially those with the various social economic designations, especially women. I have been at post-award orientations where we're going over, you know, expectations and what we're going to be doing and trying to set up deliverable schedules. And I got somebody, I ain't going to do that. That's what I do. Oh, I'm going to kick you under the table. We're going to talk. You're going to do everything in between the four corners of this document because this is what you said. And whomever wrote it, get with them and they're going to let you know who you need to bring on board. But, we doing this right here.
I want to stop right there.
To help you be successful, because
I want to add, that's a key point that you're making, Lord, is that the owner needs to be involved in the proposal, writing, and understanding what they promised. Because that situation that Lori talked about is not unique.
No,
it's not. And sadly, it's not.
Today. It still does. And so as while I was stationed at Belvoir, you know, when you're in the Air Force station overseas, you don't get to engage with customers as often face-to-face. It's over the phone, via email. So when I was at Belvoir, you know, I loved the idea of being able to talk to small businesses. And again, my philosophy was, hey, we're going to talk to everyone on the team because, again, I'm a workload assigned. They're going to start doing their market research. If they are mindful of who's out in the community that can do something, now what I've done is taught everybody how to fish.
Yeah.
And so when as a result of that, you know, that was what got me started. It's like, oh man, these small businesses really needs guidance. Even the leaderships, you know, the inappropriate things they would say in email when I got to Washerie, you know, I was like, still fresh out of the Air Force. Okay, sir, you obviously don't have an enlisted superintendent near you. We're going to take your name off this right here because we're not going to say that. I got you. And so it became operating from a place of integrity and excellence and just maintain it and not, making sure that we were doing the things that we needed to do or required to do. And so when you operate in that capacity and you do those things, you're talking to contractors, you're meeting contractors, and you're trying to, again, helping even your other sister agency, the SBA, us as contracting advisors, talking to small businesses, help the SBA. Because now we're repeating something they've said and we're enhancing those programs. And so as a result, I always knew once I retired, I would be a consultant or mentor or advisor, whatever we're going to call it. But I always knew that my goal and my purpose and my vision would be to educate. And so for women are my primary mission is to, help people in general. But my goal and my mission, even with Sewing Our Seeds as well as Active Elegant, is to empower women holistically. Because another thing I envision and observe and did some interventions on is when we go to conferences and you have all of these companies, CEOs and everybody there, and even government people and women who desire to be in business, desire to get a contract. Sometimes we drink too much. Sometimes we put ourselves in precarious positions, and not to say all men are dogs and not to say all women do that, but it happens too frequently. And so again, as I said earlier, I was stocked for 4 years. So anything that I can do to make sure a woman is protected, I'm going to do that. So maybe I was a bit hypersensitive with that, but what I want to do in preparation is like, again, we don't have to be perfect. We just need to be prepared. So preparing you is making sure holistically, hey, lady, come on. We're going to make sure we feel good about how we look. We're going to make sure that we feel good about what we wear and how we present ourselves. We're going to make sure that internal to our body, we're feeling good, because holistically, we're going to talk about the things that we need to talk about and focus on to stay healthy. And then we're going to give you that empowerment. We're going to work on, hey, give your self-worth, your values, and making sure that you're motivated and just loving you. And we also going to continue to enhance and strive on those technical skills. In that, we're going to teach you how the nuance behind it. It is one thing to somebody to say, hey, I could teach you how to do this in 90 days, 60 days, because guess what? They can. It's a discipline, it's going to happen. You keep doing something over and over again. Eventually, you're going to get the answer and the result you want. That do happen. Those are the steps. You all, and what my goal is to give people the nuance behind the steps. So as a former contracting officer, being able to interpret regulations, communicate to you, hey, this is the mindset of contracting specialists and or the officers. Even, to the point of, hey, ain't nobody answering my call.
Yep, I hear that all the time.
They probably need 20 people on staff to help out with their workload, because they typically are never staffed 100%. And even if they are staffed 100%, if you are paying attention to all the money that is being spent, that equates to a lot of requirements. And so if the workforce is limited, but the money got to be spent, you can only imagine the hours people are working. Yes. At the time I'm out of government now. Oh, I work illegally. That's one time I was accountable, right, y'all? Cause I work overtime. I'm gonna work crazy hours. I didn't do no overtime paperwork. You weren't gonna pay me anyway because you had that imaginary cap. And so, we working, because again, what we had to do in my responsibility to me, personally as well as professionally, was greater than me being stuck between 40 hours a day.
Yes.
VA has a 9 million patient population. There are veterans who need access to care, needed care. So you give me a contract, a requirement to do, I'm going to do my mission. And so that was Air Force and or civilian. I think a lot of times they acting like I still had the uniform on. Sometimes I felt like I still had the uniform on because of that work ethic. But that's birth Sowing Our Seeds. That birthed my vision of making sure that I do something, small grassroots kind of perspective. Because we can host a big event, but I want you to get it. I want you to come to the event with your needs so that we can send you home with the answer. So if
Beautiful.
someone holistically is getting me, even taking care of my personal well-being, making sure I'm straight mentally as well. And what, you got all the finance people there, you got the bank there, they're gonna tell me
Yes.
what we need to do.
Yes.
What, you got these masters of networking and outreach, and Coach Powell, and he's telling me how to engage in the art of people. What, Coach Austin is there talking to me about being bank ready as well as AI and business development.
Yes.
What, Chanel is pulling up the computer. We going through stuff step by step. What, that part. So
Yes.
if we want to do that too. And so when you give it to people in that way and just remind them, again, you're already as great as you need to be. Just walk in your excellence.
Yes.
Now all I did was reinforcement. And again, it ain't a bunch of seeds, but we were sowing seeds. Seeds have taken root.
Yes.
They're individually going home and sprouting. People are noticing. And that's how it begins. So we have to be at a place where, and I'm at a place where, hey, Lord, however you're going to make it work for me, he's going to do it. But I can't stop doing what he's put in my heart and my spirit to do, because I know I'm on the path that I'm supposed to be.
And what a great impact. Yeah. And what a great, it was a transformative event. I think that people were not only educated, but they were empowered, they were inspired. Y'all, they were well fed, because I'm telling you, the food was off the chain. Just wink, wink. We ate well. We were fed physically, spiritually, and intellectually. So Lori, I'm gonna bring Anthony back on. We're gonna have a little conversation about about probably 15 minutes, because we got started a little bit late on leadership. And so Anthony, you've heard what Lori said. You got some love for her, because she was surely loving on you.
Oh, I'm telling you, I got a page full of notes.
Wow.
So I'm sitting back going, I thought I knew the VA. I clearly don't. So yeah, I am definitely loving everything that she's saying. And while I'm not a woman, I need some coaching and some mentoring. So I am there, especially if I'm adopted.
Look here. I'm like, I can't wait till they see the pictures. They can be like, oh, see?
Yes.
Absolutely. No, I tell you again, being bookend between you two ladies, I can't ask.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But dude, I'm like, oh my goodness, did y'all hear that? I'm talking about notes. I got my own. Yeah, I had got he was talking about can do, will do, fit. Oh, get
Wasn't
out,
that perfect?
add out, take out. What?
Yes.
Oh, believe you me, just the planning briefing alone.
Okay.
I was texting people going, hey, start looking up planning briefings for everybody.
So this is what I love about the community, is how there's no gatekeeping. There's no holding back, like, oh, I'm not going to say that because they may take that from me, or they may grow from that and I don't. And that to me is the beauty of what what's happening here. And I want to tell you, as someone who's not only on the front row seat, but also in the mixed, honored to be in the midst of a Coach Sean, right? A Marvin Powell, a Lisa, a Chanel, a Linda Gray, Anthony, Iman, Daniel, Michael, all of these people. Now, Guy, look, I'm bringing Guy in, and I'm bringing William Randolph in, all these amazing human beings who have a passion to ensure that the underserved communities are able to experience economic legacy wealth through entrepreneurship. That's what gets me all fired up. And I love that we celebrate each other's success as well. And so to me, that's what community is really all about. I would like to hear about, I know Anthony has his Black Ops community. You've got Sowing Our Seeds. I've got Demystifying Government Contracting. Coach has got, Coach Powell has got his, I forgot the name of his
the Hero Council?
Hero Council. So there's just, and this is like having, I don't know what it's like to sit on a Fortune 500 company board, but I think it's better. I'm just gonna say. There's no age limit. I mean, let's just say there's no age limit. There's no time limit. All we know is we're living by a certain value-based system, which is all about serving others and succeeding in an ethical and a way of with a way of integrity. That's what I'm trying to say. So I want to let y'all just talk about, what community means for you. What does it look like when we do business, not only together, but we do business alongside each other, right? And building that.
After you, please.
Well, I mean, when we are doing it together and alongside one another, I mean, oh my God, that is it. That is the thing. And everyone just, and I'm telling you all, I'm not just hyping the retreat up because it was my retreat. And it is happening again in October. So look, don't miss out because it's going to be even better, right? But y'all, it's hard because it's about 50 of us collectively, the presenters, the participants, the caterers, and the food was spectacular.
Yes,
but everybody was impacted. Everyone got along. And I mean, and the experts, when I tell you they poured, they gave. It was no holding back. And we even had persons that are not even military or government affiliated. We had Branding Connected, an award-winning marketing agency out of Atlanta. We had Charisse Beasley, image and style consultant out of Atlanta. Lakeisha Mentor, a makeup artist out of Atlanta.
We had Michael.
Pair of shows. We brought in Michael Council, who I met through Branding Connect, cybersecurity. It was, and Antonio Stewart and little RJ. It was just so many great people and experts there. And collectively, everyone had to come and go. We know there are women who are the breadwinners in their homes. Y'all, all that I am, again, is because of who my Savior is to me. But when I tell y'all, I waited at that well, I'm telling you, I waited at the well, and he sent me. My king is off the chain. And everybody don't have that. And I know that. I was a single parent up until my son was 16 years old. And so when you are trying to do the things that you need to do so you can be representative of what you know they need to be. Because, I can fight with y'all all day about this narrative about a woman can't raise a man and all that kind of stuff. I can influence some things. I know there are some things he needs to get, but he also needs to know that there is a woman at the end of the day that if she's gonna do right, she's gonna be right, and she's gonna be right there for you whenever you need it. So you're gonna have a strong woman behind you. And they also need to see, as single women, my son needed to see me work. He needed to see me take education seriously. He served with me. So much so, whereas when we were in Okinawa, my son got in trouble because he was bullied at the pool, tried to handle it his own way, could have been made an example. The deputy commander of the mission support group of 5,000 people stayed to make sure he heard my son's case, because when the wing commander, who knew my son by name, heard that it was my son, because at first he was like, oh, throw the book at him. Then the deputy's like, hey, it's Lori's boy. Well, wait a minute. And it's not that they gave me a special favor, but see, God had gave me favor. And because God had gave me favor, they knew my son was doing something out of character, and they investigated and they found why things happened. But when you do that and you operate in that place of integrity, my son got to witness, man, okay, because of the way my mama lived, because of the life my mama lived, because my mom had me out here volunteer with her, I was able to collaterally benefit from that. So that's why women are passionate to me. I know some have spouses, but there are a lot of single women that are trying to make this government contracting thing work, that are trying to make business work. And man, anything that I could do to support and help, I want to do it. And then also, and I'm gonna let you talk next, brother. This is my little baby brother, y'all. And so as we help women out, and as we help people out, the other component of is not get lost. A lot of times they're not doing well with the outreach and the engagement and communication because we haven't taught them soft skills.
Yeah.
So we got to integrate soft skills in everything that we do, because that component that people are also missing out on. And that's also keeping a lot of our young experts at home or someplace else, or operating in a place that is really not capitalizing on their greatness because they feel uncomfortable engaging people.
True. And you know, some of, and I can just speak for military women, some of the experiences women had in the military, either military sexual trauma, you know, marginalization, you know, misogyny, you know, all those things made them feel like they were dismissed, they were less than, they were not worthy of. So AP Anthony, come on, what you got to say in response to it doesn't have to be in response.
No, it's in response. I had to put on my glasses because I needed a new page and had no room, so I'm starting to write small. But first off, I would say a strong woman is never behind a man; she's alongside of a man. So let me put that out there for all the brothers that's on the call. So you don't want a strong woman behind you. You want her alongside. And for those of us that have faith, I would say go to Proverbs, or not to Proverbs, but to Proverbs 31:10-31. You know, the virtuous woman. It's not talking about what she's not doing out in the street and everything else, but it does talk about her being this great business owner.
Yep.
That in some cases,
that's my brother.
He's a PK.
That she was able to dress her own husband up in royal colors so he could actually sit with the elders.
Oh, come on now.
So do understand that you have your place, and your place is wherever God tells you that you need to be, whether that is in the home or if it is in business, or to do both. You know, so at the end of the day, let me just be very, very clear on here, so we don't have guys going, yeah, absolutely. No. She's next to you. Your bag and her bag makes a bigger bag. Like period. You know, you talked a little bit earlier about being addition and multiplication, going to these retreats, going to these conferences. It is about you, and I'm going to use a word where I come from, get in where you fit in. So go in ready to learn. I don't care if someone doesn't want to answer a question. If there's 50 people there, if there's 100 folks there, if there's 1,000 folks there, you have at least 1,000 questions that you can ask somebody.
True.
Even if it's one for each person, so you don't wear them down. So learn, grow, understand where your place is, and start moving your organization. I will tell you, at every conference, there is somebody there that is holding $1 million for you.
They got your money. They got the Benjamins.
They got it there. Someone is holding $1 million for you. But guess what? If you don't ask them the question, you don't say hi during breakfast, you don't say hi during the evening, if you're spending all your time just drinking and hanging out, well, guess what? That $1 million has walked past you.
Yeah.
So congratulations, you went to another conference, and maybe we'll see you in the brochure, but you're still going to be that same person without that $1 million in your pocket. Figure it out.
So true. Before we move anywhere, I can't let us go without thanking Michael Parks, who documented sowing our seeds in such an amazing, powerful way. he has a gift that he just gives. And I don't know. I mean, some of those people he took pictures of, Lori, I'm like, is this the same person?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
amazing. Absolutely amazing. He can make some folks capture just their essence, not just for photograph them, but capture their essence. So I did want to shout out our brother, Michael Parks.
And actually his videographer, because the reel
Yes.
she captures some real great reels. But also, y'all, can I shout out Michelle? So, because Michelle was, sort of giving me this whatever about it, because she was like, she loved a girl, but she was like, oh Lord, she's like, are we ready? I knew, but got there, y'all, and straight up, I mean, slayed, because again, the theme is always sowing our seeds, take root, bear fruit, take root. So we're about harvesting. Everything is about harvesting. Everything is about seedlings, starting from the beginning. She came in there with a strategic motivational speech, and she literally told them to put up or shut up and see, hey, test everybody commitment. Okay, you're here. And I mean, it was just amazing. It was amazing. And because of that, and her strategically giving us purpose after the fact, collectively, man, we're putting together, we have a council that we're to document and formulate. I mean, we are serious about this thing, because the idea and intent is now we bring in participants and we prepare these women. Hopefully they stick together, and like the ladies now, they are in contact with each other. We're communicating. Chanel and I meet with all the ladies on a monthly basis. So we're staying connected and facilitating where are you trying to go, helping them get there. But just think, if you create your own ecosystem, you got all of these wonderful people with all of these multiple talents, but every talent can fit and solve and be a solution. Oh man, come on, y'all.
It is
struggle. It's like we had it all. We got it all. I mean,
we got it all.
We ready. We got it all. So it's just a wonderful thing, but it was just remarkable. So, but everything you said was just a recap, and it was like, man, it's like and that's the beauty when you find people also that is operating in integrity and just in their truth, you will hear the same thing being said. May come out a different way, but it will be the same thing. And that's the beauty of transparency. That's the beauty of being authentic, and that's the beauty of operating from an earnest, pure place. And man, that's how God give it back to you.
Well, I'm so honored by that. I'm honored by both of you joining. I got to close it out with 3 things each of you would tell people from a leadership standpoint, especially CEOs and small businesses starting out. What do they need to do? I'm going to give each of you 3-5 minutes, and then we're going to close it out. And I want you each to end with how they can find you, how they can connect with you, or if they're interested in your business, what is it you can do for them, and how to reach you. So I'm gonna start with you, Anthony, AP, and then I'm gonna go to Lori.
Not a problem. Hey, you let the closer come in after me. I like that. So what I would say is I would leave you with what I call the 5 tenets of business. And this is something that if you don't have a pen and paper, I'll give you 5 seconds to pick up one, because you need to write it down. Because when you go to a show, or when you go back to your businesses, or when you are meeting folks, this is what you need to know. And please take this from everything that we've said. Number 1, business is a function of relationships. So business is a function of relationships. I could write this down in an equation, but the fact is that more so than even a relationship, it's about credibility, right? Number 2, It's make your friends before you need them. So when you go to these shows, you are making contact, you are making friends, you are making contact with folks that may help you a year from now, 10 years from now. But when you do need them, call them. Don't try to go out here with a bowed chest talking about, no one knows my struggle. We all know your struggle. Number 4, make and deliver on your promises. Mm-hmm. Start off small and then start building that credibility within yourself to make larger promises. Hey, guess what? I'll get you that proposal on Friday. And then turn it in by Thursday night. Then start working up to larger ones. And then number 5, which is the most important for all of us that are business owners, cash is king. Cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. None of us are Fortune 100 companies that can make a $10 million boo-boo and go, oops, tomorrow our business is open. Sometimes we can't make a $10,000 boo-boo because we still got to make payroll. Mm-hmm. So think about your cash flow in your business.
So I missed one. I got business is a function of relationship.
Mm-hmm. Make your friends before you need them.
Make your friends before you need them.
Call on them
and
when
deliver
you do.
On your promises.
Nope. Call on them when you need them.
Oh, that's number 3?
Okay.
Exactly. That's number 3. Because many times we'll make a ton of friends. Like I probably have 200 cards in my home office right now. But have you called on them when you need them?
Gotcha.
That is the most important piece of that. Then 4 is make and deliver on your promises, and 5 is cash is king.
I got it. I missed number 3. Awesome. Amazing. Thank you. And how can people find you?
Best place is on LinkedIn, or if you want to look at, one of my companies, Novo Communications, you see it at the bottom, Novo Communications with an S.com, or you can go to Perimeter Robotics to see all the things that we're doing there. I also do a lot of coaching on the side as well. So if you need just to ask a question, I'm not going to charge you. Just give me a buzz, hit me up.
Sure?
Let me know if I can
answer. You said free?
I'm saying free 99 for a question by far, because at the end of the day, I guarantee a month, a year, 10 years from now, you'll be there in the divide for me.
True. Okay. I'm just saying some folks will be with you every week. I'm just letting you know.
Well, I said a question. I didn't say 8 questions. A question.
We've been doing this for a couple of years.
Only his sister can call him that frequently.
Okay.
Anytime you desire.
Awesome. Thank you, Anthony. What a delight.
Absolutely.
You are truly our brother. You fit in. Look, he just came on in and fit in.
I told you I'm a hard charger.
Love it. Don't go nowhere, Lori.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna take Anthony's lead as well. And so for me, one of the things that we do and we emphasize quite a bit, and we talk about know, like, and trust. And actually that's even what Anthony just emphasized. And so what I want everyone to do is, to my point earlier, we are who we are. And sometimes as we shift, we think we have to leave that life alone and try to do something new. And end up, all it was a different word, and you just didn't know the operational definition. So from a fostering integrity perspective, and some of those disciplines you already have. So what I want you to be reminded of is think about whether or not you led by example. And when we talk about leading by example, look at your career. What are the awesome things that you did? Because if you led by example, they giving you us different responsibilities. You got a chance to, do some wonderful things. I mean, that shows that, hey, okay, I had a stellar career. Somebody trusted me to do that. Be open in your communications, because when you're open in your communication and you're transparent, again, what you're doing is facilitating trust. To Anthony's point, if you cannot do something when you said or thought you were going to be able to do it, there's absolutely nothing wrong than going back and say, hey, you know what, something that came up, I am just not going to be able to do this. Can you give me some grace and give me another time? Be open with that. Be transparent with that, because again, it's a discipline and it reinforces trust and integrity. Accountability is key. Be mindful of the things in life that you have been responsible for. How did you meet the need? What did you do? Again, we got these underlying disciplines that we've already mastered, and we try to chunk them away. Utilize and think about those things and bring them up to the core, because what that's going to do is help you in your pursuit of going out now and engagement. So now I'm already accountable. I know how to talk to people, and I don't walk the walk, and I could talk the talk. So maybe I'm not starting as far back on this journey as I thought I was going to be. And then make sure that you are continuously learning. There is nothing wrong or with you to learn a new skill, a new trait, in order to reskill or upskill or reinforce what you already know. If you're not learning, if you don't think you need somebody, then that's a different conversation I need to talk to you about. You ain't ready. I'm gonna put you back on the shelf with the cheese. You just ain't ready. But there's nothing wrong with continuous learning. We should always be a student, because things are changing. Look now to Coach Austin's point the other night with AI. Again, AI is a game changer. Utilize it, prompt it. But guess what? I sure need y'all to quit putting out these articles on LinkedIn that y'all don't know nothing about, because I'm a girl of the word. Trust me that I can pick you apart with these little fancy little letters. Leave me alone. Just don't do no more articles, because it's driving me crazy. Because I know you got it out of AI, but leverage it to your point. Learn how to make AI work for you. And again, if you're prompted it, you're putting in the information in there, then it's your thoughts. It's just enhancing your thoughts, because now you can talk to it. But be learning something, learn the skills. Again, you may not have to tend the field, but you sure need to know what your beginning needs to look like and what needs to come out at the end. And let somebody else do the work, but and that's how you're getting a quality product, based on you knowing what it is that you're doing. Just like you need to know what the story they tell about you in the four corners of them documents on that proposal. And then lastly, make sure you empower your team. If you empower people, they will stay with you. I often tell people, you are the brand that the government see is the butt you put in that seat. You want that butt to be loyal to you, because you want that butt to inadvertently become your capture or your BD people, because they're going to hear things, because the government like to talk. There's nothing private, and they're just going to share stuff. And so you want them to let you know, so that now you can be better prepared. But you also want to have an escalation process. You also want to have a continuous learning process in your organization, because you want to sow into them, because you want to keep them. Because as long as you got them in that seat, now you can invoice frequently. You can't invoice a zero. You can't invoice for an empty seat. So you want to maintain retention. I mean, it's kudos to Anthony have a 95% retention rate in this day and age. Honey, please. So when you can do that, that means a lot. So what it tells me is that, one, he's investing in his people, and then he's also has told somebody, even if he didn't physically say it, he has told them, I am developing you to replace me. So they move on to great opportunities. And so that is what I'm going to leave you all with, to be mindful that you're already equipped with everything that you need to have. Don't get caught up with the trending phrases and the terms you use, thinking you got to do something different. Just do a reflection. Man, where am I at in this area, that area, and shore up yourself where you need to be shoring up with. But at the end of the day, if we can't trust you, we ain't gonna do business with you. It's just that simple.
Period.
And one of the things that the government has to do is responsibility determination about you. And you know how they do that? Running credit checks.
Mm-hmm.
They know, well, that's what we do. So I'm just saying,
Wow.
teach you the rules of engagement so that you can be prepared, not perfect, but prepared. Okay. So that's
I'm gonna tell you, y'all have dropped the fire. Y'all have dropped the fire. In the last couple of hours, there have been more than 120 people in and out of the session, but there has consistently been 100 people. Think about it. We have talked 2 hours about building teams, building communities, and being successful in this thing we call business. And 100 people thought it was important enough to spend their time listening to the two of you. I am just honored, blessed to know you, blessed to call you part of my tribe, blessed to be in your tribe, in your family. And I just want to say thank you. That's not enough, but just know it comes from the deepest part of my heart, right? Because Lori knows that more than 2 years ago, I started on this platform by myself. And I believe where there is vision, there is provision. And he has brought you all as a provision for us to be equipped to serve these amazing people who are on this journey. For those of you who've been with us all week, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. If you missed day 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it's all there. It's live on Facebook. It's live on Twitter. It's live on LinkedIn. You can go back and watch any of those sessions. Please know that my mission and purpose is to serve women, veterans, and minorities. My talent is relationships and business strategies. How do you take your business model and figure out how do I serve what market and how do I make money at it? That is, I would say, my greatest gift. Now, I will say this: be coachable, right? Because everything I do is free. So if you don't do what I say, I just move on. I tell people you get what you paid for. I'm gonna let that drop right there. It was free. So you get what you paid for. If you didn't bring nothing in it and you don't do nothing with it, hey, it's all good. But please know that it is my pleasure, it is my mission, it is my ministry to help the small business community. And it's been an honor. GI Factor ain't gone. We got more coming. We got Lisa Anderson coming. We got Romeo Gardner and Michael Council gonna talk to us about cyber. And we got some good stuff. So stay tuned. We will still be doing Wednesdays, but we will be adding some more value. And you can expect to see a couple of these people you saw this week. They're going to be back because this is not all of it. So thank you so much. God bless you. And we'll talk to you on Wednesday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. God bless.
Have a great night.
Thank you.